notification batch, right? So this is a batch class we have written, and then we are taking this. See the stateful and state, less in the sense, if you want to use the variables, okay, with a aggregated of the value into your execute method, okay. Aggregation in the sense, if you want to keep your previous values into your execute method or into your finish method, you want to maintain your values across the starting to ending of the batch, you have to use the database dot stateful. If you use this database dot stateful, then you can able to access the variable across the execute and finish. So let's say uh, public static string. Okay, I'm just putting a list of failures, failed records. Okay, if I use this list of failed records, I don't know where I okay, let's see here. These failed records will be used in your execute method every time, correct? Come on. New list of strings. So now, if you want to understand that what are the failure messages, you want to track it down, and then you want to consolidate everything, and then you need to send a report to your manager or anyone to your high level. Okay. So if you want to use this method in your execute, so as I said earlier, also execute will execute number of times based on the state, the start method, right? So this is every time it's a new instance. Am I correct? It's a new instance. So here, let me show you this one. If I have any of the error message over here, okay. If I want to add the error message over here, that get error message. I want to track all the error messages into this. So in this case, what you can do is, if you don't use the database dot stateful, what happens is every time when you executing the batch, it will be reset your value, and then it won't contain your previous batch values into it, and then the latest one, the last job, whatever is executed, that values only it will hold. Okay, to avoid that situation, to keep records all the records into your list, we have to use the stateful. If you use the stateful, your variable can maintain the state across your batch job, it won't be a blank. Okay, so the other example is, I'll tell you this in a simple words. You have this execute method, right? Let's say this execute method is executed 10 times. Okay, so you are using this variable. This variable, you are adding the values here, add dot, as I mentioned, error. First execution, this list will be added as a error. Okay, I'll put error. And the next time, the second time the execute method is executed, if you don't use this database dot headful, again it will be clear out, the previous value will be deleted from this list, and then whatever the execute method, the current state of the value will be holding of the list. So if any variables, if you want to use across the your batch, and then use it in your until the your your completion of the batch, so which is the finish. So until, if you want to keep your object state, object values, okay, you have to use the stateful. Otherwise, it won't hold the latest values, it will be, sorry, it won't hold all the values, it will hold only the latest value, which is executing the execute method. Understand, guys? So simple. Okay. Let me try to Let me try to explain you here. Okay, I'll show you in the debug logs over here. I'm trying to add. Okay, I'm trying to add success and failure messages. List of success EMPs. So here, let me add this employee record over here. Okay, list of employees. I'm going to add the employee records over here, and here list of failed records. Okay, instead of this one. In the success, I'm executing this in the execute method. I'm just for your case, I'm just showing you how it will be react work. Okay, add of employee record. I'm adding the employee record in my execute method. Okay, in the failure method also, I can use my fail. Is the fail record add of. Now I'm just using a dummy thing over here. Okay, or else what I can do is, okay, I'm just using this one. Okay, it's a failed employee. This is a success employee. If you use this without the database dot stateful, what happened? Let's see. Okay, if I'm not going to use this database dot stateful, deploy this to source org. Missing line number 25. Seventeen. I think we have added something in the day. What did I add? 17th line. Just mention employee not equals to null. Birthday dot date equals to today dot this one. Month equals to this one. So this number of years. Okay. So now I'm not using the database dot stateful here. So let's see what happened now. Let me open the org. And also let me show you one more thing. At the finish method, what I'm trying to do here is, in the finish method, I'm trying to get all the in the system debug, all success records. I'm using list of success employees. So remember this, in the finish method, we want to capture all the success, not only success. I'll track the failure also. Failed records. It's a list of failed records. I'm going to deploy this. So you have to remember this. So the state I'm initializing here in the execute method, I'm adding the values here every time the employee record for every execution. Let's assume that the start method is written 20 records. I'm putting the scope for now as a 1 so that the execute method will be executed 20 times if it has a values. Okay. So in each time it has to add the value and then it has to keep the list to be added, right? The list should be 20 records in this one. So first let's see how many records are there uh, in this one, and the employee first. How many records are there in the employee? So let me see how many records are there in the employees. So only 7 records are there, right? So it will be run 7 times. This list dot success should have the 7 employee records. Okay, but it won't have 7 records, but it will have only 1 record in the finish method. See how it will be happen. Okay, console. So I need to execute this batch class. There is a schedule. Okay, let me schedule this and then see what happens now. I'm going to execute this method. Understood these lines, guys? Why I have written here? So I'm using the without the stateful. Okay, without stateful, I've written the two lists. So the expectation is I'm passing the scope as 1, and I'm expecting the list of success employees should be there for the 7 times because I'm putting the scope as 1. My list of records are 7, so the execute method will execute 7 times. Okay, so all the 7 records should be exist in my list of success once the batch is completed. So on the completed in the sense what? In the finish method. In the finish method, I should see the success of employees should have the 7 records. Let's see will it be happen or not. Understood this logic, guys? Okay. So let's see now. I have ran the batch and then see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are done. Okay. Now we can see the batch one which is in the finish method. So this is a finish method. In the finish method, let's see what are the debug logs. See how many are there now here? It's a 0. Am I correct? But if you see here, list of where I have mentioned that all messages, email template ID, aggregations, value matched, birthday emails, scope, child, and number 41. Not line number 41, where we have added line number 15, right? We have added on the line number 15. Let's see on the line number 15. 12, 13, 14. This employee is null and then it is getting passed over here. But the list is not getting matched over here. So if I would have given the one more debug log over here, I understand that. So here execute method records. I'm just putting this one. Okay. And apply this to source arg again. I want to show you in detail. Okay. But now you understood, right? In the finish method, we are seeing 0 records. Even though I'm adding the values in these every employee scope, right? Let me run again. Let's see again. So now all the methods are executed. In the finish method, if you go and see this, all success records are zero in your finish method. Okay. In your, I will check the other any other thing over here. See here, execute method records. Here it is adding a record in each and every execution. This is called the every execution over here. In every execution method, the list has been assigned with a one record, correct? But it is not maintaining the state until the finish, right? When we come to the finish method, it is not maintaining the status, or sorry, the state of the values. So it is losing every time when the execute method is executing, the list is becoming null. Null, right? So yes, yes, yes. Mhm. It will give the output. Batch never stops. But the thing is, if you are passing the two, in the two records, only one record getting failed, your entire transaction will be failed in this one. See here. This is a chunk, right? So batch will be splitted into the chunks. Yes, it will. So here, if you apply this database.stateful over here, okay, these are the interfaces. Just remember that. I'm implementing the two interfaces now. Batchable interface and the stateful interface. Like that, you have too many interfaces. There is one more interface called the database callout interface. If your job class needs to be support the API integration, you have to implement the database dot the callout interface. Okay, closing everything and executing once again. Okay, now your batch has been splitted into 7 chunks, and then your batch is here. Okay, just open it now. Which one it's executed? I don't know. Wait a minute. 'Flared apply this to source org. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's getting a 2 only. Batches. 7 was completed here. There is no errors. Y size is becoming 0. This is starting method. 1, 2, 3, 4 only it is getting this birthday and this everything is it's getting. Attempt to difference null object. So all clear, all debug, execute. It's not reflecting over here. Attempt to dereference null object line with 43 finish. 43 finish. It's not working out. Success email pass on this one is this one. Uh-huh. So this is a list and this is a scope of employee. I think you don't require to add all these things. Why the state is still null? So I'm passing the list of here values here, failure, and adding this to the execute method, which is passing 6 times or 7 times. This is adding a add of the employee record. I'm adding this employee record here. And failure records also I'm adding here. This is success database.stateful. Correct. Come on. Making the 3 execute. Employee notification batch. Employee notification batch. This is done. So this is done. Come on. This is 1. This is 3. This is also 3. Total 7 records. 1, 2, 3. 3. 7 records are coming over here and adding to this batch. I think I'm missing something over here. I don't know. Does it matched but the emails? It's becoming null. Gets it. So let me get and set this method. Public static value. Getters and setters. So adding this and deploying now. Execute now. Let's see. Why it's not working, I don't know. Why? Why? It's a stateful. Come on. I have initialized this. I don't know why it's not working out. I'm initializing this and initializing this. public. Let me put the in the constructor. Putting it here. So basically, it has to return the value of. Come on, in the finish method, it's supposed to get the value of this. I don't know why it's not happening. Okay, let me try this way. Big of all success. Come on, it's batch is not saved or what? I don't know. This is saved, but still it's saying reference. Giving example becoming too difficult in this stateful. Okay, now this one doesn't have anything. Okay, this is the last thing. Let me see. If you see here, this is the 7, right? If I use this 7, so it will have the 6, it will have the 5. So which means it is aggregating every time. Okay, if you don't use the database dot stateful here, let me show you. So now we are not using the database dot stateful. If you use this latest one, you can see only the one, right? If you see this one, if you see only one record, so it won't get the all the values into your next execution. So it won't keep your values alive. Okay, understood, guys? So I'll show this one again. So here I'll put the database dot stateful here, and I'll show the same thing again here. Finish method also I'm going to show. Yes, 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 please. See now, we can see the finish method. We can see the 7 now, right? Yeah. The simple thing is, if you don't use the database dot stateful, whatever you have the values initially initializing the variables, right? That will not keep the all the old values and new values in your execute method, because your execute method will execute number of times. Correct? If the batch is executing number of times, your state of these variables will be refreshed every time, whatever the variables inside this logic, right? Whatever the values inside this execute method, everything will be resetted to null, and again the fresh values will be added to this logic, to those variables, even though if you declare as a globally in the top of this variable, but still it won't work out. Okay, the reason is it won't maintain the state of your variable in your execute method. To maintain the state of the variables in your execute method, you have to use the database dot stateful interface. If you use this database dot stateful interface, whatever the previous values, so let's say in the execute one, you will have the one employee record, correct? In your execute two, you will have a one more employee record, but you will keep the old ex- executed method values into the new executable method values, so that you can maintain those old values and new values across your execute method. Also in the in the finish method, in the finish method also you can understand that how many of the successful and how many of the added out, right? So to maintain everything about the the variable across your batch, from start method to end method, the finish method, if you want to maintain the values across the board, you have to use the database dot stateful. If you don't use it, your values will be resetted, and then it will be executed according to your execute method. Okay, still not understand? The very simple thing is, when you are running a batch, your batch will be divided into the chunks. I'm just assigning the value. I'm just initializing the values in my constructor. This is the constructor. In this constructor, I can use this as a variable. So this is a keyword which will be used to refer a particular variable in this instance, right? This is the this is one of the keyword. Okay, it will refer to the in this context of the variable. If you don't want to use it, you can just use in this way also. You can use in this way also. Okay, you can delete this one and then you can use this way also. Okay, you can try this. See the 7 now, right? Last time I think I have missed the I'm keeping static word. So if I use the static keyword, it will always the same value. So it will maintain the value across the my uh, reference, right? So I forgot to remove the static. So now I remove the static value, so that it won't have the static value. So it will be changed according to my execution now. So this execution will be executed with the latest values, and the old values will be added to this list. It will maintain the old values plus new value in each and every executable methods. Okay. Any other any other things? So did you guys completed the task? Stateless I have shown you, right? So if you don't use the stateful,